Today we're going to try and replace all the spoke nipples on this wheel, but I've never trued a wheel in my life.
I've broken 3 of these recently, so I thought it's probably about time I replaced them all. I'm using my nice Vera tyre levers to get the tyre off, which came as part of this very handy bicycle repair ratchet set. And this is a really simple park tool wheel truing stand, and as we can see the wheel is really wobbly. And now I'm just going around the wheel and relieving tension from each of the spokes bit by bit. And once there's no tension on any of the spokes, I'm going to completely take one of the spoke nipples off. Next, I cut the end of this cocktail stick off, which I'm going to use to get the spoke nipples on, and I'm going to dip it in some lubricant so it goes on nicely. I'm using brass sapin or sapin spoke nipples, which are supposed to be good. And after the first 2, I got a bit of a rhythm going, and it became actually quite therapeutic. I was quite surprised how far I could get the spoke nipples in with just a cocktail stick, and then right at the end of doing it, I remembered I bought a tool specifically for getting them in as far as I could. And here it is, and honestly, I think the cocktail stick is way quicker, unless I was doing something wrong.
1, 2.
Then I started tensioning up each of the spokes evenly, starting by putting 2 turns on each spoke. Then once I got them up to a pretty good tension and measured it with my tension gauge, I realised I messed up pretty badly. The rim was all over to one side, and it was because I didn't compensate for the disc brake rotor mount. Thankfully, it's not actually that hard of a fix. All you have to do is tighten the spokes on one side, which is every other spoke. After doing this, thankfully the wheel was pretty laterally true, and eventually I managed to get the wheel dished properly on both sides.
So the wheel is now pretty laterally true, and it's pretty well dished, so we're just going to make sure it's radially true. And it's actually not that bad, and that's just from making sure it's properly dished and laterally true. It does seem to get close to the gauge around there. So I'm going to tighten the spokes on the opposite side to bring the wheel over this direction. 1/4 of a turn.
So I'm just doing 1/4 of a turn on the spokes on the right side in that area to start with, just to see if we can move the wheel across a bit, and then we'll go from there. Now the wheel's nice and true, we're going to refer to this chart that came with my spoke tension gauge, just to make sure we got the right tension on the spokes.
So now the wheel's running true, we're going to tape it up so we can set it up as tubeless, and for that we're going to use frog tape. Not really, we're going to use Gorilla Tape.
Funny. Now using Gorilla Tape is very exciting to me because I usually use Stan's tape, but this is so much cheaper, and I know that some manufacturers actually sell their rims with Gorilla Tape, so yeah, it's a complete game changer for me. However, I am still using Stan's sealant in my wheels. And there we go, we're all done. It wasn't that hard after all.